Hello everyone, Vickieverlie here, Rock and Roll Prophetess, and today we're going to take a look at the new moon and Gemini chart. This is happening on May 26th at 11:02 p.m., but times will vary. It's a big kickoff of Gemini energy, and there's a lot of other planetary things that are around it that we're going to dive into. And we're going to also talk a little bit about this Neptune and Saturn moving into Aries. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but there'll probably be another video follow-up later this week with more details on that. Before we begin, I want to let you know that you're watching the Rock and Roll Prophetess on YouTube, and my name is Vickieverlie, and you can find me at vickieverlie.com. Please do not be fooled by these imposters. Mainly they're people on social media with fake accounts, and they'll be messaging you saying, oh, I want a free reading or whatever. No, that's not me. And be not only for me, but be wary for all YouTubers that you follow. This has been going on. It's rampant. For me particularly, you've got to go to my website to find out. I do have different readings available. Some astrology based like this one, but some more tarot based like some of the other readings that I post on here. All are very much definitely psychic and intuitive, is incorporated into it, and I get messages and downloads from my guides as we go through the reading, as will inevitably happen today, I'm sure. So let's dive in. Yeah, so it is the new moon in Gemini, and it's conjunct Mercury. And why this is so particularly strong and interesting. Let me just get a better pencil, the pencil that I want to use. There we go. Why this is so particularly strong and interesting is because Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So it's the ruler of this new moon. Every planet and placement has, a house, a sign, and a planet. So Mercury is ruled by Gemini. So it's really amping up that. And it's in a conjunction too, by the way. Conjunction meaning being within a few degrees of it. So the new moon is at 6 degrees of Gemini, and Mercury's at 2 degrees. So it's only off by 4 degrees. So it's a pretty tight orb or conjunction there. It's also conjuncting Uranus, but in an out of sign. But this is the thing here. This is super powerful for communication, for all things Mercury, third house, Gemini, which are all similar, energies. This is communication, short distance travel. It's a lot of things, siblings in your neighborhood, different things. But the communication thing is really what's coming through the very strongest in this instance. And it's trining Pluto almost in exact 2. We've got 3 degrees of Pluto, and we've got this, 2 to 6 degrees. So there's a trine to Pluto. So it could be, life-changing or life-altering. Now here's another, Pluto is in the sign of Aquarius, of course, and then Aquarius is, the ruler of Uranus. So there's also this very much Aquarian vibe coming in. So that's going to take it to the next level. Mercury is everything, the third house, Mercury, this is our everyday stuff. This is our regular mode of communication, I guess you could say, your daily, can be 6th house as daily routines, but I think of Mercury, our third house as daily routines too. Just what's kind of the norm, habits, things like this. People that you meet each day, I'm hearing that. It's, the people in I'm hearing the old Sesame Street song, the people, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet when you're walking down the street, they're the people that you meet each day. Yeah, that's what this is. But then you bring in the whole Uranus, Pluto and Uranus, and 11th house too, which is also the broader group of people. This is goes stepping out beyond just the people that you meet every day. This is going to a broader group of people, a broader group of they keep wanting me to say enlightenment, because I'm going to get to that, because here, Mercury is also how your mind works, how your monkey mind works. These are the things that we have to know. We have to know how to read. We have to know how to write. We have to know how to drive a car. They're these things that we have to do to just function in the everyday world and like everyday kinds of things. And, and this can also be our thoughts kind of, there's an up and a down, of course, for everything. And the downside can be, maybe getting too much in our head, thinking in never-ending patterns is the way they're showing it to me. They just go round and round and round, and these patterns. We get up every day. We go through these little patterns in our lives. This is calling us to break these old patterns, to see to even see and recognize these patterns. I mean, even look at the way these are placed. Like this would be like on the ground. This is reminding me the Pluto up here. I want a thicker pencil. it's reminding me of like this could be the bird sitting on the ledge, and it's looking down. It's looking down from the mountaintop or from the tree branch up above, and it sees, this is like that, I always use this scenario of like the eagle or hawk, and then the mouse. The mouse is scurrying around doing its everyday business. It's got to go here, go there, even the squirrel. And the higher perspective sees the mouse and sees everything and sees the big picture. And the mouse never sees the hawk coming, or maybe sometimes they do, but I think most of the time they don't. So this can help you to break out of these everyday things or these patterns that we all get stuck in, or at least recognize them. Recognize them and allow for some higher guidance from the other upper realms of the Pluto energy in Aquarius to transform, because Pluto wants to transform, of course, and Uranus wants to transform too. That's what they have in common. Transform and release old ways of being, so that you can breathe new life into and steer your course in a new direction. Because this is like, if you're in a car, you have you have your GPS course set. Well, Pluto's thinking outside the box and showing us this bigger and wider range of things. Now, the other thing that's going on here is that we do have, Jupiter's not in a conjunction with these other planets, but it is in the sign of Gemini. And Jupiter has been in the sign of Gemini for the last year. Jupiter's going to make its move into Cancer in June, around June 9th or 10th, depending on your location. Jupiter's going to move into Cancer, and it'll be gone from Gemini for another 12 years. So Jupiter, of course, is the planet of abundance, the great benefic. But what is Jupiter's function? One of Jupiter's functions is to amplify things and make them bigger or make them more, or expand and expound upon and grow things into bigger energies. So Jupiter being there, it's been there for the year, and it's going to be moving out within a couple days of this, like a week or so, less than 2 weeks, let's just say, or 2 weeks-ish from this time frame. And so often, with all big transits, you'll get that gift. And Jupiter is a gift giver, so Jupiter's ready to impart that gift of that Gemini energy to us all. What has the last year been about? From the like June of last year, of 2024, to June of 2025, that was the time frame that Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. So this new moon with the Mercury, we could really all be getting these big downloads and seeing what it's all about, or getting the gift. That's all. I'm going kind of inward with this, but also it could be outward. You could get the news. You could get the news of this or that happened, or what's the big news that's going on. That some kind of a gift. Something that's been on your mind, that you've been thinking about and toiling with and whatnot. Jupiter at 26 degrees here too. It's not on this chart, but it's also opposing the galactic center. So the galactic center is this big point of download. It's this big opening, this big portal, this big energy vortex. It's the center of our universe, or a galaxy. I don't know if that's the same thing, but it's an important placement. So, and Jupiter, it's in the sign of galactic center, and its opposite end here is in the sign of Sagittarius. And what is the ruler of Sagittarius? Well, good old Jupiter. So there's this really, even more than just the new moon with the Gemini, all the stuff that we discussed in the beginning of the reading here, there's even a more, my guides are saying opulent, that's a word. I don't know I wouldn't think of it that way, but that's what they want to say. But a more expansive, a more profound opening, opportunity, connection to this higher consciousness. Because Jupiter is the ruler of the 9th house and higher consciousness as well. The other thing we do have to talk about, of course, is this is sextiling this Neptune thing over here. And Ceres, too. They're traveling together here with Neptune. Neptune, Saturn is in there, goes in on the 24th, okay? And then Neptune already went in last month, and then we got Ceres joined with them, too, at 3 degrees orb here. So this is making a beautiful sextile. So sextiles are also harmonious energies, okay? A sextile, there's energy of flow, positivity, they're speaking to each other. So yeah, we're thinking we could have these, write notes or talk them into your phone, because these ideas too could be just coming a million miles a minute. Sometimes that can speed things up, and you get in that zone where it's almost overwhelming because it's just coming so fast, so fast, so fast. So overall, I think I'm gonna do a whole video on Saturn, but the two together here, I like that they're with Ceres too, because it's bringing in this abundance. Ceres is very much abundance, feeling fed, the goddess of the grain, feeling abundant. It's almost like I put on my rock and roll tarot deck. The traditional Rider-Waite-Smith has the Empress with Venus as her, there's a heart. I'm going to pull up my rock and roll tarot deck and show you guys if you're not familiar. But I intentionally changed a lot of stuff. But one of the things that I definitely wanted, have always thought, and definitely did change on the Empress card, was instead of putting the symbol for Venus on the Empress card, I put the symbol of Ceres, because I always feel like, for those of you that are more familiar with tarot, I think that's, than in astrology, that I think the Empress really encompasses and really embodies. See, I put on my Empress card, I changed it to the symbol for Ceres. Let's get the background images out. There we go. Come into focus. And just look at some of these keywords even on the Rock and Roll Tarot. Fertility, motherhood, secure, Empress, beautiful, harvest. These are all, and look at her, how she is. She's the queen on her throne. So that's that beautiful Ceres energy. So we're initiating this new cycle of Saturn and Neptune joined in Aries, but Ceres is there too. So it's bringing in this additional blessings, this additional bounty. My guides want me to use the word bounty. Feeling bountiful, bountifulness. And so it's a really beautiful thing. Here's another thing. Aries they've just both come out of, these two have just come out of their long stay in Pisces over here. They were in Pisces for, well, Saturn was there for 3 years. I don't know, Neptune was there for longer than that. I don't know, maybe 7 years. It doesn't really matter, but they were swimming in the Piscean energy. So Pisces is all about dreaming, imagining, creating, and now they're in Aries. So now they're going to take the wisdom that they gathered, but also the inspiration, the ideas and inspirations. This is a time to actually put them boots on the ground. Aries is not messing around and waiting for anything. Aries is like, okay, let's get busy. Let's get busy. What are we going to do here? What are we going to do with all this knowledge and everything that we gained during our sojourn through Pisces? And now that it's moving down into Aries, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to hit the ground running? It's nice, though, that Saturn is in there. It can be a little bit of a drag on Aries. It's almost like Aries is the kid and the Saturn is the father, the authority figure saying. Aries is like, oh, I got my license, I'm going to drive now. And Saturn's like, well, make sure you buckle up. Make sure you're not drinking and driving. Just check your mirrors. Saturn's putting in restrictions, but not restrictions to be a buzzkill necessarily. Saturn's not trying to be the party pooper or the buzzkill. Saturn just wants to make sure that whatever endeavors that are beginning in this 0 Aries point, the beginning of the whole astrology chart here, is it going to be durable for the long term? Is it going to have a good foundation? Is it going to... so if you're spinning out of control a little bit and you feel like there's too much things, this is where you can really call upon the Saturn energy to ground you and help. Or it could even with Saturn and Neptune, because Neptune's our spirit guides and angels in that still, even though it's now in Aries. Call on our higher guidance, call on our ancestors. Saturn is very much the ancestors. Some people may be doing something, I'm feeling like ancestral healing and karma, of course, that's always on the table. But more so what I'm feeling is like maybe like your family had a family business and you decide, it's been like, I'm picking up for somebody there's like a farm or something. Like one time your family had this farm, and maybe long ago you moved to the city during the industrialization, and you know, that's where you've been since, and you know, it's whatever. You may be able to, you may want to just go do that similar kind of work again, or bring that back into your, you know, reconnect with those roots. Or but for some people, I'm really feeling like a business, you know, some kind of or maybe you could even take over that farm. Maybe it's up for sale now. You know, that same farm that your ancestors lost or left behind, you know, 100 years ago, maybe even, you know, during the Industrial Revolution. There's a feel of that energy. Well, by the way, you know, the last time Neptune was in Aries was the late 1800s, when the Industrial Revolution came into being. But I do feel like there is like a callback to that era, and having to do with families for a lot of people. Or maybe you're just going to take an interest in genealogy and just say, oh, well, look, my aunt was a writer, that's why I enjoy writing, I'm a writer too. You know, there could be some kind of connection through. But I do feel like, because again, it's the 0 Aries, that it's not just like, oh, nostalgic, oh, well, look at that, I had an ancestor who was an artist and I'm an artist too. More like this doing something with it in the here and now, bringing it back to life, giving it new life. Or maybe some of you are even just going to go buy some kind of an old farmhouse, or some kind of, you know, bring back some kind of old thing to life. And it could just be within your own life too. Maybe it's something that you used to do. But I do feel for many there could be this very strong connection to our forebears, you know, our forefathers. Talking about you know, this whole Jupiter energy too. Jupiter's doing quite a bit here. It's sextiling well, it's almost dead on sextiling the Chiron, so talking about that healing and that. But, you know, sometimes these healings, we just get stuck in our pain, and that's a thing of Chiron too. And I think especially in Aries, you can tend to not want to really look at the pain. It's just like, I'll deal with it later, I got stuff to do, you know, you're on. This could really, and a lot of times it's these situations that come into your mind and your heart, my guides are saying. And all, you know, I get a lot of those. I'll think of something and I start crying. And, you know, you don't want that to be the case for the rest of your life, you know. So this could be some proactive way when Aries to, you know, not think of it and start crying. Or also a way to think about it differently, to think about, to maybe see the lesson, but also to where you're not that wounded child anymore. Because Aries is child too, is the baby of the zodiac. So, you know, or dealing with your own inner child stuff too, but it's almost like you have this memory and you revert back to who you were then, or how it affected you then. And there's this imprint of this hurtful, painful thing, when really, if you were able to back out with the help of Pluto and then in Aquarius, and then the help of the Jupiter energy, if you were to back out, this was somebody else, if this was your own child or grandchild, and you know, they did that, what would you say to them? You know, you'd say, oh, you just scraped your knee, get up, let me kiss your boo-boo, you're going to be okay. And I know to some degree that might sound like brushing it under the rug, but it was more, you know, it's more like from the outside looking in, from a detached perspective, which is very much the Pluto and Aquarius too. Stepping outside of the person, it happened to victim, it happened to me, you know, and then just see it and just like, oh, well, you know, having this higher, being able to view and think about things in a different way, that's really going to be really helpful to you. This would be a good time to talk to therapists and stuff, to talk therapy or talk things out, or a group even with the Pluto, you know, maybe join some kind of help group or something like that. But these 26-degree things here, so it's sextiling with the Chiron, but it's also making a square to the nodes, which are still in that Pisces Virgo axis, going to be for a while. So, you know, it's aligning us with our true fate, really. I'm going to take the Chiron out of it for a minute. Just the Jupiter with the nodes here, and then it's actually a Grand Cross again with the galactic center up here, which is not depicted. I don't know if there's a symbol for it, but I'm going to just draw it like a vortex. So, getting these downloads and being able to mentally process them, because you know, getting the downloads half the time isn't the problem. You know, I get downloads out the wazoo, right? But then what do you do with this information, or how do you process it, or how can you use it in your everyday life routines, thinking? How can you incorporate it into breaking up the everyday patterns of thought and running around the hamster wheel over and over again? How can we use this energy? And there could be some big breakthroughs in those areas for you. Now again, I'm offering that solstice reading, so this stuff would all be addressed in there, and we could look exactly where this stuff is in your chart. And these are some of the things that we may be getting into in your chart if you decided to look into that reading. And we'll definitely talk about Aries, and then at that time also Jupiter's in Cancer. This year's solstice, the sun Jupiter is conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. So that's really a big news, really powerful one. You know, it only happens once every 12 years. You know, if at all. It may not even happen, because sometimes it doesn't change mid-year. Sometimes it changes other times during the year. So it's kind of a rare occurrence and a pretty big deal. Okay, so but the nodes are calling us to, again, see, here's another thing. The South Node is in Virgo, which is also ruled by Mercury. That's what I'm trying to get out here. So here comes that Mercury. Virgo can be very much, you know, detail-oriented, which is their best quality. I mean, if you have an accountant or somebody that's, you know, some meticulous work that needs to be done, you want Virgos, yeah, you want a Virgo to help you. Any kind of repairs, I always try to find people who are Virgo to do, like, repairs, and I've said this before, you know, like household repairs or mechanics, something. I always try to get somebody who's like Virgo rising, because they just can't not do a good job. They just can't. They want to do the best possible thing. They want to cover every little detail and make sure things are right, you know. Not just put a Band-Aid on it and, you know, okay, it's fixed when it's really not fixed, you know. So the Virgos are the fixers, yeah. But sometimes, you know, it could lead to over trying to fix everything, that too much in your head energy, and worry. You know, Virgos can be worriers because they're so wanting to do a good job. You know, they can over worry. So that's the South Node. That's the thing that we're trying to release in just a general sense. There's a lot more to it than that, but just in a general sense, that we want to release the negative side of Virgo energy, which can be overcritical, sometimes on the martyr side, you know, these kinds of things. And I love my Virgos. I'm not dissing the Virgos. I always get along with Virgos. And I'm born in the 1960s, so I've got, you know, I've got the Uranus Pluto Virgo, but I've also got a bunch of my asteroids in Virgos. I have a big stellium in Virgo in my chart, so I'm very Virgoian, if that's a word. Virgo-esque, I don't know, Virgo-ish. You have to let me know in the comments which one you like the most. But anyways, so the North Node, we're trying to go more towards the Pisces thing. And it's like, which is, Pisces aren't worried about, you know, this is an exaggeration, a generalization, but, you know, Pisces don't care anything about the, you know, the numbers, the bottom line, accounting, you know, details. It's broad strokes. It's swooping waves of emotion and creativity and spirituality. You know, they're the dreamers. In karmic astrology, which I do have those soul readings too, often what will happen in this particular nodal axis, if you have this particular nodal axis, often in other lifetimes, because it's like the artist and the Pisces North Node is all the things I just said. But that's the person who gets to be the dreamer. If you have a North Node in Pisces, you get to be the dreamer. You get to be the one who doesn't have to worry about that, but they always need the other side of it. So the Virgo South Node is somebody's got to take care of business. Somebody's got to make sure the bills get paid and things get done. And if you're a performing artist, somebody's got to be the one to make sure, set up the gig and make sure everything gets the stage manager or whatever, you know. Sorry, I had to get a sip of water. I was about to cough. That's a big no-no. I just had a minor surgery and my cough. I'm cool. I'm much better now, but coughing is like, ooh. That hurts. Oh no, it feels like I still have to. I'm going to have to get a little cough drop, sorry. Oh wow. That wasn't too bad. Maybe it's a little better today. But, so, you know, And people in karmic relationships in our soul's journey, we'll go back and forth through all these things, all the nodes. But one particularly with this Pisces thing. So if you may have been the artist, the dreamer, you know, all that stuff in another lifetime, and there would be another person who, you know, made sure, like all the stuff we were just talking about, make sure that the job gets done correctly, and that you get, you know, that we have money to live on, and the bills get paid, and the work gets done. And then you can just be, you know, the patron, basically. This is the patron. And so a lot of times, you know, you may have been the person who did that part, and now in this incarnation, if this is your North Node, you're going towards that. But this is also, you know, this is the North Node for the collective here. So as a North Node of the collective, we're being called to be the dreamers. We're being called to be the inspiration. We're being called to connect with our soul's work and our soul's journey, which is like our true passion, our true north, you know. Yeah, there's stuff that has to be done. We still have to pay bills, and we still have to make sure we have food, and, you know, things are in order, and live a three-dimensional life here on Earth. You know, we need that. But we're really being called to, I just heard the devil's in the details, maybe to drop a little bit of that stuff and just, you know, kind of free form, free flow a little bit more if we can. And that's the way to, you know, even to escape the busy mind here, you know. Oh, they're giving me a song. What is it? Oh, it's Bad Company. Turn on your light and stay with me a while. I'll ease your worried mind. I'm off on that one. I hit that bad note. Yeah, ease your worried mind. Turn on your light, my baby, and stay with me a while and rock steady. Rock steady, baby. So it's time to rock steady. Yeah, time to rock steady. Turn on your light and rock steady. Was this a hair or is this a... this looks like something. Some kind of line here. Who knows? Don't worry about it. That song's still playing in my head. I wonder if there's more of that lyric we're supposed to talk about. Now I want to get ready. Rock steady. Close your eyes and let the music flow. Yeah, close your eyes, let the music flow. Well, if anybody wants to listen to it, it's Bad Company. It might be free. I think it's Bad Company, though. Paul Rogers on vocals for sure. Rock steady. That's come. There's still. It's still playing in the back of my head. It's not stopping. Well, it's not stopping, so I'm gonna. Maybe it's time to roll on here. There's so much, like, as always, that we are gonna. You know, there's always more to talk about. We could be here all day, but I think I pretty much got some of the big ideas here. So yeah, Mercury, Pluto, Jupiter at the Galactic Center, mind. The mind is active. The mind is busy. If we can get a handle on it, we can really get some wonderful downloads, messages, insights into our own true north, our own soul's calling, our own direction. And when you're following along with your direction, usually things will go better. I mean, not that you won't have obstacles. That's part of the earthly thing. You know, it's all part of the being an incarnate in earthly plane. You're going to have obstacles to overcome. You're going to have lessons to learn, of course. But and I just happen to notice here. Here's another thing, that Mars is squaring Lilith. I think we talked about that before. But that can be a little tumultuous. That can be a little bit of, you know, both want to. Lilith was not going to be ruled over by a man or anybody else, you know. And Mars is, I'm going to rule over you, everybody. That's they want to, you know. That's the Aries energy. The Mars is the ruler of the Aries. So ambition. You know, this could be some conflict stuff. This is very much the traditional gender roles too. Like, this is the, you know, Lilith gets the bad rap of being the, you know, the witch or the bitchy woman. You know, the woman who wouldn't, you know, succumb And then Mars is the typical macho male, especially in Leo. It can be, the typical macho male. These are both negative kind of, stereotypes totally. And I'm sure, like I have Mars in Leo, and obviously I'm not a macho male in this incarnation. So they're telling me macho man. Why I'm the village people now. That's coming in, but that element is there. It's there. It's festering. It could get, there could be welling up of aggression. I mean, especially too with all the Aries energy, there could be some, it can express itself as aggressive. It's definitely one of the downsides. There's an up and a downside of every sign and every placement. So there could be this this feeling of aggression and stuff. If there is feeling of aggression, one of the things with all this concentration of this Gemini energy, write it out. Write that letter to somebody, but don't send it. Or that email, and don't send it. Write it out, talk it out, so you don't have to act on it. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to. I'm feeling like, buttons getting pushed too. Talking all the way at the beginning when I was talking about these routines and how we always process thoughts. So somebody says something to you and it rubs you the wrong way. Let's not go with our knee-jerk reaction. Let's stop and examine it a little bit from that higher perspective. Let's not all of a sudden this thing happens, so I got to start running around. Like they keep just showing me like mice on the ground running around, and this thing is up there just like this bird's just looking down on them like, you can run and scramble all you want. But I see you. You're not gonna get away from me. So why indulge or direct your energy towards that fear or that busy-minded, just don't let it get away with another Hear Me Stones. Just my imagination, once again, running. I just got up this morning, I'm way out of key. Running away with me, just my imagination. There it is. Running away with me. There it is, I found it. Well, on that note, literally, we're going to get out of here. Hey, happy new moon. I think I'm going to come back with another, for sure maybe Saturn. I have some thoughts on the Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. I think I might try to get that done this week, and maybe we'll have that up for next week. Otherwise, I do have the readings available. The solstice is this astrology psychic reading. If you like this kind, there's a lot to talk about. It'll be applied to your specific chart. If you're interested in that nodal stuff that I was talking about in the past lives, those soul readings, those are my favorite to do, I often say, because I do feel like these are the ones that can really help you the most in your life, instead of just straight up looking at a timeline and predicting the future timeline. It's more about, the bigger picture. But, it's all there. Some people like that type of reading. Some people like more, cards and astrology, whatever it is. Head over to my website. And by the way, if you hit that like and subscribe, it does cost you nothing. So if you do like my channel and tune in regularly, I would appreciate that as well. Go ahead and have a great new moon in Gemini. Remember your love and beauty incarnate. And we'll be back again soon with another reading. Till then.